There are a lot of us that think we want to learn, but what we really want to do is have someone validate what we already think.
Hmm.
And uh, that makes for very, very difficult coaching events. The second thing that folks do is that they build narratives about fear and don't really build systems that are robust enough that can survive an expected outcome event. For instance, they come to the trading space and I go, hey, you want to do this, 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 and this? And they'll go, okay, I want to do step 1 and step 4, but I don't want to wait on XYZ. And so folks really have problems putting themselves into consistent routines because there's nobody over their head going, hey, I'm going to make you justify the reason that you, like on a prop floor or on a trading desk, you've got a manager coming behind you going every week. He's like, what'd you make that trade for? Why'd
Hmm.
you do that? And so you have to learn to defend that state and then realize that if you keep doing it wrong, you're going to lose your job. And that doesn't happen in the trading space. So that personal accountability is a big thing. And then the very last thing that I see traders do is that they start with a system that's not particularly robust. And when it doesn't work, they jump ship to other systems. I can assure you that the majority of folks that are listening that aren't brand new already have all the skills you need to excel, but you're fighting your own mental battles by second guessing and then moving from system to system. Because the simplest thing as, hey, I'm going to use a 5-9 moving average cross just so long as I'm above my weekly floor on XYZ.
Right.
And you can make money time after time after time, but people want to be too active and uh, want to move too quickly instead of just setting with something and going, how can I fix all the things in between sitting in the 5? They blame the system and then they go around looking for other systems because nobody wants to look in the mirror and go, yeah, you really ought to work on that personally. That's hard. One of the biggest things was I couldn't stop the internal dialogue of saying, you're an idiot. Why didn't you see that? And so, from a trading perspective, it's so different to being in life, right? So in life we go, hey, listen, you make a decision, you stick to it,
Yeah.
right? And actually that's what's helped me in the trading space because I've stuck with it for 20 years because I wasn't going to give up. But when I'm in the trade and something goes wrong, I always would think, well, I just got to stick it out. And then it would turn into this gigantic losing space and I would go, I can't take a loss now. I mean, that's going to wipe out 30% of my balance. I
Right.
can't do it. And so when I do it, it's like it's a hatchet to the chest. It's gaping flesh wound. And so not only do I have physical capital destruction, I had emotional capital destruction. So the first thing I had to do was pump the brakes and go, wait, do I have a system that works over an expected outcome?
Hmm.
Yes, sometimes you lose, it happens. But if you do it over and over again, the probability and expectations run XYZ. And so I had built some beautiful systems. They were running 75, 85%. The problem is I was leaving myself zero room for being wrong.
Hmm.
And that is a gigantic fallacy. We have this idea that no matter how, if we work hard and hard and hard and really, really study, then our trade's going to go right when we take it. It's not. It's still not because we have error, we have noise, we have our inability to capture everything in the landscape and take everything like it's supposed to be, we could just be flat out wrong. Or the market could do something wacky. We can lose. And so the question I said to myself was, all right, do you accept that perfection is impossible? Yes. I understood it in words. I still had trouble understanding it in real live mechanics. And then I started with a pocket of cash on the side, and I would say, okay, you're going to trade like you're supposed to trade, but if you run into this much cash that you've lost, you're going to stop and you're going to go back through each of those trades and you're going to go, did you follow your rules every single time? Because you can't judge yourself on whether the trade is good or bad based on whether it wins or loses. It's a good trade if you followed rules that were good. And once I got to that space, I said, all right, now how do I do it so I don't get ahead of myself? And I started trading really small. Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, I want to go from X to Y. Sometimes it would only be $100, but the mechanic was what I was replicating. Mm-hmm. And here's the funny thing the market does to you. So you get the mechanic right, doing it over and over again. It's great. You see something and your brain goes, you know what? I have just hit it out of the park the last 6 times. I'm going to size up and I am going to give myself a big pat on the back because I want to make X today. Right. And I would outsize myself, over leverage. And when it started going against me, that prefrontal cortex shuts down and it's fight, flight, or freeze. And that's all you've got. And so that, for me, I mean, I would get really good, consistent. I take a big trade. I'll lose everything I'd made in the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, and I'd have to start over. Until I realized that I had to stop looking for that badge of honor so that I could go, hey, look at what I just did, which really is what it was all about. Yeah. It was about, so I could feel it, and I could tell my husband, and I could tell XYZ. And as soon as I realized, hey, listen, you're working with a battle of ego, and it's winning, and you're putting yourself further and further behind, you just got to stop it. And so really, those were the stair steps. And even today now, Richard, I still struggle with it. I will still go, you know what? I'm going to size up. Now what I'm smart about is realizing if it doesn't have the heat, I can get out quickly and then reset. Whereas before, I would just wait and go, oh no, well, it's got to, and I'll cut it off at the knees. So that really, you know, it sounds like a simple process, but it was very hard mentally because I had to turn it into new habits. The habit of getting my ego out of the way. The habit of understanding I'm never always going to be right. The habit of the market is always going to be right, and you can be early/wrong, or you can be late/wrong. Right. So just roll with that and be comfortable with getting those small gains of consistency. It's like a guy that does a tightrope walk, right? He doesn't start it between 2 buildings. He starts at 2 feet from the ground. And so that's where we have to build continuity and that structural space that allows you to embrace all of your emotions and go, okay, I feel concern because, I feel fear because, and you're not short-circuiting your brain because of the size of your position.